Hello, welcome to Living and Learning. I'm Allison Kinnear, and every Wednesday at 3 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, I hop onto Facebook Live and talk about living and learning. I am so excited to be with you all today. We are talking about a big topic: fear and control. I don't know if we're going to talk about these topics throughout the month of March, but I will say I wanted to talk about this because I'm finding there's a lot of fear and a lot of control stuff that's coming up around me. Perhaps that is because I live in King County, Washington, where we are at the epicenter of the coronavirus. So while this is, I'm going to end up talking about how we can manage our internal world in the context of the coronavirus. But even though it's about that, it's not really about that. It's like, how do we manage fear and that need to like override with our fear with controlling things in general, right? Like this may happen in a boardroom, in a meeting with people. Fear might come up and we might get really controlling. Fear and control just comes up in our daily lives, and sometimes it is amplified based on what is going on around us. So I want to talk about a tool that we can work through so that the fear doesn't become so overwhelming, and also so that we don't get into unhealthy controlling patterns. So it's always good to be able to control the controllables, so to speak, but it's also important that we're not, because what can happen is when we're in fear, we can want to control the uncontrollables. We can want to control everything around us. So, and I just want to say, welcome, Jesse. Hello, hello. Glad you're here. And hello to everyone watching live or on the replay. So let's talk about the context of the coronavirus, because why not? It's happening, it's here. It's for those of us who live in this area. It's certainly close. We are close to the epicenter for the United States. And I know it's just a hotbed of conversation. So in this situation, right, our fear can be up because we can be thinking about what's going to happen to me, what's going to be happening to my loved ones, what's going to happen to work, to the economy, all of these factors, right? There's so many unknowns. And here's the thing, our fear and our need to control is going to flare up when there are a lot of unknowns. And what happens? Typically, when there are a lot of unknowns, our minds as humans are wired for story. So we are going to fill in those unknowns with story because it gives our brain something to kind of like hang on to. Now, oftentimes, those stories are not empowering stories. Usually, when we're faced with unknowns that are instigating fear, we will fill in the blanks, fill in those unknowns with stories that tend to be disempowering. They tend to be the worst case scenario stories. So we have unknowns. How is this virus going to impact my health? Well, or the health of the people I love. Well, my child has asthma, and so therefore, if this happens, then all of these things are going to happen. Or my mother-in-law has immunocompromised, so therefore this is going to happen, which is then going to cause this, which then is going to cause someone I love to come into great harm, right? That doesn't mean that's happening. It just means this is the way that our brains can fill in the blank. And it oftentimes doesn't fill in the blank with, well, we're all smart, we all know how to protect ourselves, and we all know that, and so this is an opportunity for us to be extra vigilant and extra mindful, right? Like we tend not to fill in the blanks with stories of possibilities. Yes, Richard, hello, welcome. Catastrophizing, yes, we can go right into catastrophizing. And hello, Ryan. Wonderful. So, let's talk about what we can do. Now, I'm going to offer you a tool. And I offer you this tool knowing that we can get into that it can seem very trite or cliche. And so I hate going into clicheville. However, I'm going to walk us into a common tool, one that you've probably heard about, but we're going to break it down a little bit, okay? And this cliche or this tool is the Serenity Prayer. The Serenity Prayer was developed by back in the 1940s by Alcoholics Anonymous, and I will tell you, if you want great tools on life, look to Alcoholics Anonymous. You don't have to be an alcoholic. They make some really great tools about life. So here's the Serenity Prayer. I printed it out so I could make sure I get it spot on right, and we're going to break this down, okay? So here's the prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Okay, so let's break this down a little bit. First of all, I love this in so many levels because the first thing we're doing is asking for what we want. We're not going into the catastrophizing. We're not going into the disempowering story, but rather we're asking for what we want. What do we want? We want serenity. We want peace. We want to know that we are held and that we are going to be okay. That even if that, whatever okay means, we want to feel peace in our minds right now. Serenity, right? We're asking for that. Second thing, we're asking to accept the things I cannot change. So I love this as the first step. The first step is having a radical acceptance for what is. And that radical acceptance for what is acknowledging things that are outside of our scope, outside of what we can not control. So I can't control when somebody sneezes. I can't control when somebody shows up to work with a fever. I cannot control that this happens to be here and a situation that we're facing at the same time, at this moment. Nobody needs this kind of experience at this time, right? But part of it is, yes, it is what it is. Thank you, Richard. It's like having a radical acceptance for this is what is. So help me accept the fact that we are here and that there are things that fall outside of my control. That's the first part. The second part is the courage to change the things that I can. So there's this phrase like, how do we control the controllables? What are the things? So there are things that I can't control, but what are the things that I can control? And what are the things that I can control that will bring me back to that serenity? If I'm up late at night worrying about, it's so funny, we have this toilet paper shortage that's happening locally, right? I don't know why, but I guess people are expecting to have to stay home and they're stocking up on toilet paper, right? So let's pretend we are really fixated on the fact that we want to make sure we have plenty of toilet paper. This is something that we can change, right? We can go online, we can reach out to somebody who maybe has a surplus, we can go visit the stores, but we can't change whether or not those stores have the kind of toilet paper we want or not. But it's rather to go, what is in my scope? Can I control? I have a good friend who, her child has asthma, and she's like, you know what? We're just not going to put him on the bus for now. That's one of the things that I can control. I can drive him to school and back, and that feels good to me. So that's going to be something that I can control that I'm going to do. So we can look at what's within our control, and we can be also aware of what's out of our control. And the final line is the wisdom to know the difference. So this requires discernment. It requires us to think and go, is this in my control? Is this outside of my control? When am I perseverating and spinning out and going down the wild goose chase rabbit holes? And when am I actually like, well, this is something that falls outside of my control? We have to be not constantly, but we need to be questioning ourselves. Is this something I can control, or is this something I cannot? We have to actually consciously ask that question. And the one thing that I also love about this that is not just about the mechanics of what can I control, what can I not control, the wisdom to know the difference, and asking for that serenity, but that the first word in all of this is God. Now, I'm not about to get on a religious platform, but this kind of work takes surrendering. This kind of work to get to serenity requires a bit of faith, a bit of leaning on spirit, leaning on the universe, leaning on energy, leaning on that thing that connects all of us. So whether that's God, whether that's love, whether that's the universe, whatever your word for it is, it doesn't matter. What matters is there is a bit of surrendering, and surrendering so that you can get to that serenity. So this is a time when we can surrender to what is in a loving way and kind of give it to God. What else does Alcoholics Anonymous say? Let go and let God. That's part of this work, is like finding whatever that spiritual side of you and tapping into it. It helps. One of the things that I love about what I'm reading in regards to how do we, oh gosh, I'm seeing all these comments now. My apologies. Let me read these comments and then I'll get back to that thought. So struggling to not want to buy a ton of canned goods and toilet paper. Exactly. Like maybe you do want to buy a ton of canned foods and toilet paper. Maybe that is something that will help you feel like safer, right? And maybe it will be something that spins you out. Who knows, right? Like this is where that discernment is going to be helpful. Oh, and then it becomes a was. Oh my gosh, I'm missing all these comments. And yes, Richard, co-create your life with your higher power. God, Goddess, universe, excellent way to describe. Thank you. Welcome, Rachel. Welcome, Serena. Welcome, Charlene. Everybody, thank you for being here. So this part of this surrendering, this is our way of being connected to something that's bigger than our fear. Right? This is a way of being connected to something that is greater than our fear. So that's our first level, is to tap into that knowing that's bigger than our fear, and to say, please give me the serenity that I need so that I can accept what I don't want to accept, right? Like, so I can accept things that I can't change. So I can change, I can have the courage to change what I can, and I can have the wisdom of discernment to know the difference. It's a powerful tool, and it's a powerful mantra, it's a powerful prayer that I encourage you to lean on, not just during times of coronavirus, but also to lean on in other times of your life. Whatever it may be, whatever that fear may be, and that your need to control kind of comes up. What can you surrender to? What can you accept? What can you build courage to change? I want to thank all of you for tuning in. I wish you a week of surrendering, of connecting, of asking for serenity in whatever facet of life. I am also wanting to put a plug in for my Confident Leadership course. It starts March 30th. We have about 9 people enrolled so far. I'd like to fill up a little bit more. And I am so excited to bring this content to you. Even if you feel like you are a confident person, right? You feel confident in your work, but that second guessing, that doubt is pervasive. I encourage you, this is for you. This is the class that is for you, to give you lots of tools so that you can tune in so that you can, and I love all these hearts that are filling my screen, that can tune in to your, can tune into your power and to help you with that discernment. When do I need to be self-reflective versus when am I getting mired in my self-doubt and second guessing all the time? So that's what this course is about. I'm sharing tons of tools with you. I would love for you to join me. I will put a link in the comments below. Thank you all for tuning in, and I wish you a wonderful week of living and learning. I will see you all next Wednesday. Be healthy, be safe, wash your hands. Oh, and what I was going to say is that this coronavirus, one of the things it says is don't get stressed. And that's hard. It's like, don't get stressed about this disease. But this is what it asks you to do. And I love that part of it is taking care of our mental health will take care of our physical health. So I leave you with that. Wash your hands, don't touch your face, and take care of your mental health so that your physical health can be maintained. Take care. Bye.